talks about how Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, full of love and cheer and surprises. Well, last Christmas, our family got the biggest surprise of all. I'm Grace, and Christmas has always been my favorite holiday. That was until one year when everything changed. At the time, I was only 10, and my little sister was 3. It was Christmas Eve, and we were all so excited as it had snowed. That meant we were going to have a white Christmas. But suddenly, I heard loud voices. Our parents were fighting. I didn't know it at the time, but my dad had been having an affair, and my mom had just found out. I came downstairs just in time to see my dad slamming the door and driving away. Mom was in tears and told me to run back upstairs and pack a bag for me and my sister. Then we drove to my aunt's house, and the 3 of us stayed there that night. We woke up on Christmas morning, and because Mom is a nurse, she had to go to work as she was on duty that day. We opened our presents, and then me and my sister went outside to play in the snow. Suddenly our dad appeared, and we were so happy to see him. He had presents, and he asked us to quickly jump in the car with him so we could go home to see what Santa had brought us. I remember he smelled kind of funny, and I thought he must have forgotten to bathe, but it was the smell of alcohol. He'd been drinking all night and was completely over the limit. As we drove away, our aunt came running out, but it was too late. We were on our way home. It happened so quickly I barely remember it. We must have crashed, because the next moment, the car was skidding to the side of the road, and me and my sister were screaming. Dad had been so drunk, he ended up crashing into 2 cars and injuring 4 people. Luckily, me and my sister were okay, but Dad wasn't. He ended up going to prison, and he wasn't allowed to see us anymore. My mom went crazy when she found out, and she wouldn't even let us see him in prison. We were too young to really understand, but we just knew we weren't going to see our dad again. A couple of years ago, I asked Mom about him, and she said he'd gotten out of prison and moved across the country, and that she didn't want to talk about it, so I never mentioned him again. And then my mom met a new guy named Neil, and I guess I like him, but I miss my dad a lot. Then Christmas came around, and it brought back all those memories. Mom always acted a little emotional on the day, and last year was no different. It hadn't snowed since that Christmas, but when we woke up on Christmas morning, my little sister came bouncing into my room to tell me it had snowed. We raced downstairs and started to put on our coats and our shoes. Even though I was 15, I couldn't resist a good old snowball fight. Afterwards, we opened our gifts, and Mom was really quiet. The snow obviously reminded her of what happened that Christmas with Dad. We spent the rest of the day watching movies and playing with our gifts, and then we sat down to enjoy dinner. We'd almost finished eating when the doorbell rang. My little sister went to open it. "Who is it?" I asked her, expecting it to be our aunt or something, but you won't believe who was standing there. It was Santa. Okay, so I know he's not real, but my little sister freaked out. "Mom, Santa's here," she screamed. Mom came running towards the door with her boyfriend running behind her. We were all so confused. He had a bag of gifts and just stood there not saying anything. My sister was so excited, and she led him through to the lounge and offered him a glass of milk and some cookies. I just looked at Mom and shrugged my shoulders. He sat down and opened his bag. Then he handed me and my sister a gift. Mom kept saying there's no need for gifts, and I could hear Neil whispering to her, "Who is this guy?" But my little sister had already unwrapped it and was squealing with joy. He'd got her the exact video game console she wanted. Mom was shocked. And then I opened mine, and it was the latest iPhone. "Whoa, thank you so much," I said. I could barely believe it. "Sorry, who are you?" my mom finally asked. But he didn't reply. He just started whistling Jingle Bells and looked kind of awkward. And then Neil said thank you to him and asked him to leave. Suddenly he got up and just ran out. My sister tried to run after him, but he was too quick. Seriously, who was he? The rest of the evening was a little strange, and we were all so confused. My mom thought maybe my aunt had planned this and decided to ask her later when she came over. Neil went to pick her up, and as soon as he drove off, the doorbell rang. It was Santa, again. He said, "Sorry, I forgot I had one last gift in my bag." And then he handed it to my mom. As soon as we heard his voice, we realized who it was. "Daddy?" I said. He took off his Santa hat and fake beard and just broke down. And suddenly we were all crying. Up until that moment, I don't think I'd realized just how much I missed him. Me and my sister ran into his arms, and Mom stood there silently sobbing behind us. She opened the gift, and then she started crying even more. It was a photo album of all of our memories together, up until that Christmas when everything went wrong. My girls, I'm so sorry. Please, please forgive me. I can't live another day without you all in my life. That Christmas ended up being the best Christmas of our lives. Our dad was back. We invited him to join us for dessert, and when Neil came back and found out who it was, he was furious, and so was my aunt. But me and my sister couldn't stop smiling. As for my mom, well, I think she was more shocked than anything, but it ended up being a magical day. Of course, my mom's boyfriend stormed off, but we were too distracted to really notice. Now we don't know what to do. Dad keeps contacting us and turning up at the door. I really want him back in our life, and it seems like Mom's falling back in love with him. She talks about him all the time, and every time he appears, she can't stop smiling. I mean, people change, right? Should we give him another chance?